Yeah, it was a good drive. There's been a
Got
few good
ourselves
drives. There's been some
got
good
ourselves a
plays.
game here. Started a little bit clunky. Ravens looked a little out of it. Found their form. What'd you think of the fourth down call by Mr.
Gutty. I don't know.
John
You have
Harbaugh?
like 3 or 4 different people I feel like you could give the ball on that in that spot.
Didn't love but I guess the call and the call, the decision in the call, I guess.
The call wasn't bad. I mean, he got it pretty easily, it felt like. And I liked how close he was to the line when he started with the ball, I guess. Some of
Yeah.
these fourth downs where it's like, oh, he's 7 yards deep in the backfield and it's going to be a handoff off guard. And you just give everyone way too much time to try to get off their blocks. But yeah, that was Ravens first half money line, never in doubt, Sam. It was a rough start. Lamar's had a few overthrows.
Yeah.
And I've been less than impressed with the defense on the short stuff. Not, this is such a good running defense for the Ravens, and they haven't been, up to snuff, I don't think, against a team that hasn't been that good of a running team this year. It may be the added extra runs we're getting out of Herbert is helping that along, but between the runs and some of these little dump-off passes that are getting to the running backs, it's like, man, every one of these should be like a 2-yard gain that's 5 or 7, and the pass rush is almost there 3 or 4 times against Herbert. They can't quite get there, and he gets a dump off 7, 8, 9 yards. Like, it feels like the Ravens are very close to slowing this defense down or offense down, but not quite there. I don't know. This is we'll have to take a look at these lines.
I'm seeing
I lead a little
Baltimore -2, and I'm seeing over under 26. This game state didn't really set up for any of the angles that I sort of had drafted for this one, so I'm not really sure where to go here. I will say that Baltimore does get the ball first, and they have put down together now back-to-back touchdown drives, so they have to a degree solved the Chargers defense a bit. The scripted portion for the
how about that catch by Bateman?
This is sick. The scripted and the Bateman guy couldn't catch anything if you put it in his lap last year. Now he's making catches like this. Like good lord. The scripted portion really was the most successful portion for the Chargers. That 9-play 70-yard drive was slick. 5-yard touchdown scramble for Mr. Herbert as your first touchdown scorer, and then punt, field goal, touchdown, punt, touchdown, field goal. So this really did explode late scoring wise, but that was mostly fueled by Ravens touchdowns. I'm inclined to bet Ravens -2 here. It is getting bet against. -103 is now +103. Ravens have to win the second half by a field goal. They can't just snuff out the clock as a 1 point.
Is this Ryan Clark?
Yeah.
Did he join Space Force?
I'm not watching.
So bad. You need to turn that on, or at least go find that.
Is it a bad? It's a bad getup. It's a bad fit.
I didn't hate. I kind of wanted to look at this over, but the numbers probably a bit too high for that. I was thinking maybe we'd get a 24. No such luck. I wasn't really watching the live lines. Apparently 26 is a bit much. You go over to ProfitX, you're looking at a total 49. You can put a request in there. They have a cheaper price on Baltimore. You need Baltimore -0.5 essentially for the game. Or excuse me, it's Baltimore -1.5 there as well. So that's a live line. So I always have to do the math because they're up by 1. So that is Baltimore -0.5 point, -138 though. So if you like the Chargers, you can get a nice plus number on them just to keep it tied or better.
The market does not agree with my initial call here. It's out to +107 for Ravens -2.
Answer me, what have the Chargers done wrong that you're looking to go again? I understand the pro-Ravens argument. What is the anti-Chargers keeping pace with them argument? Other than maybe the second half last week.
Yeah, and I mean, I worry about the Chargers' red zone offense. And the touchdown they got was in the scripted portion, and they may be able to move for 20-20 here and get a couple more field goals. But if their backs are against the wall and they need a touchdown to tie at any point, I don't know that I feel that confident about it. Really, the Ravens' pass defense scares me more in terms of giving up chunks across the middle of the field, more so than getting beat when the field gets smaller. And like the Chargers just don't have enough. Their receivers are fine for matriculating. They're not good enough to create separation inside the 10.
Yeah, QJ has been a lot better, obviously, this year, but and it's funny too. The Chargers are one of the better red zone teams. They're third in the league right now in allowing other people to score. Little different game here when you have the running weapons that Baltimore has trying to stop them. Baltimore's red zone defense is. You want to guess where they rank?
I'm gonna say 21st.
No, 15th, middle of the pack.
15th. Okay.
It's been better of late. Obviously, some of that's opponent adjusted, but 52% of the time, I was going to guess actually a little higher than that with the run defense that they have. So I don't know. I wish this total were a little lower. I'll just ride with whatever you want here. I don't have a strong take. I wanted to bet Baltimore, but literally every freaking notification I'd get from Bleacher Nation Fantasy was, oh hey, here's good news for the Chargers. Oh, here's bad news for the Ravens. Like Roquan's out. McConkey's probably playing like everything.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
McConkey was in doubt for a little bit, I thought this morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the other issue too is with Dobbins looking like he might miss the second half of that knee injury. We'll see what they can get done on the ground. If you can sell out a little more, maybe the Ravens do get to Justin.
Are you calling for a revenge half for Gus Edwards?
I know it's been talked about a trillion times that they're brothers because the coaches are brothers.
Are they?
I brought that up to my 10-year-old.
Head coaches?
Yeah, I brought that up to my 10-year-old. He's like, "Oh, that's brutal, Dad." And the more I thought about it, I'm like, do you think they get together every year for Thanksgiving if neither of their teams is playing? I don't know. As adults, you don't when you live across the country, not everybody sees everybody. I wouldn't want to go to Thanksgiving if I lost the game. I would be so annoyed at my fucking brother.
Yeah. Most of the traveling for Thanksgiving, I feel like, is 20-somethings going to see their parents.
Yeah,
college kids going home.
The local bar.
Yeah, and maybe there may be some exceptions, but a lot of times I feel like once you're an adult, if you use the Thanksgiving break for anything, you might use it for travel. Like, I don't have to go to work. Might as well go somewhere fun. All right. Let's make a decision here. The Ravens -2 is out to +112. The second half money line for the Ravens is -148. That is a huge disparity. It has been moving in one direction there, implying that the delta between those two is not correct, which I find to be hard to believe, but so be it. Over has taken a smidgen of money. It is -110 now for over 26. I think the Ravens pull away, and I don't have a strong read on that.
I might
just +112 is down.
I might just play this over.
All right, let's find a place that'll take a Ravens team total over. Second.
Oh, there we go.
What's that number?
Oh, buddy, I gotta go look for
Ravens -2 is down to +102 now. So the cavalry has come for the Ravens.
I mean, I don't know if it's cavalry. Maybe some light infantry.
Some light infantry is coming.
Pikemen, maybe some spearmen.
+102 is not a trivial move at all. That's not a trivial move. Somebody thinks Ravens is the right side here, or they're just number grabbing. I don't know.
It could be too. Cleaning it up
the board.
All right, the second half
team total
for the Ravens is 13.5. A little juicy.
Over 13.5. What's the number? What's the price? We're -125.
I think you can find a better price. Let's see what the chat has there.
-120 somewhere.
Giorgio, our fine Floridian friend from Florence, says he has even money. All right, it's -110 at DK.
We'll do that.
Apparently, I'm getting bent over a barrel by Dave Mason. I'm gonna have to talk to him. We'll put it at -110, even though I'm getting a worse number right now.
Yeah, I will shout out Giorgio Miglia CO. He is he's been a long time contributor in the chatosphere.
How is the weather down there, Moondog, aka Giorgio Mendlaccio? I will be in Fort Lauderdale next. What? So Thanksgiving's Thursday, right?
Usually.
Next Thursday, I will be in Fort Lauderdale, I believe.
Awesome.
So I'm coming to you. I'm coming to Florida. It is so brutal cold up here. I can't wait to get to Florida.
Are you
Like
guys
20 degrees, man.
you guys are freezing it up?
Yeah, it's a little chilly. It's a little fucking chilly up here.
Bummer, man.
But you can
Speaking
also
of chili,
more cold.
speaking of chili, not the food,
Look
the
at
temperature.
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, hey, you're heading there.
I'm heading to Savannah for Christmas. Cannot wait. Very excited. What do you think of the temperatures for Thursday night's game in Green Bay? Real feel 6 degrees at Lambeau Field. Does that sound like dolphin weather to you?
So it's funny too. The wind won't be as bad as it was in Arrowhead that day, but it still sucks. Like it's
that's cold.
Any of you who played football at any level in any northern state knows it hurts so much worse to get hit when it's cold. Like a multiple of 3 somehow. Like those warm summer 2-a-days, it's fun hitting you. And also, too, by the time it gets cold, it's later in the season. I think that doesn't help. You're more banged up. You're more sore, spending more time in the ice tub, which sounds awful in Green Bay. But yeah, it sucks so bad getting hit in the cold. And yeah, Tua hasn't looked good in cold weather. I'm sure there's a
well, there was
your toes getting stepped on when it's
there was one snowy Buffalo game where he almost beat the Bills, scored like 30 points, if I remember right. But other than that, he hasn't been covering himself in glory. The also, by the way, Lambeau Field, I think, was the scene of the crime where Tua got concussed in the first half and then threw 3 terrible picks in the second half against Aaron Rodgers. You remember that?
Fuck you, Patrick. not gonna live down those allegations.
This
is funny from Donnie Pickleball, who knows if it's snowing, it isn't that cold. Once it gets to a certain temperature, you just don't get snow. It's too
the precipitation
cold.
Won't fall.
Yeah, the precipitation does. Yeah, you get to a certain point, you just don't get snow because the something with how the water vapors and the snowflakes and all that jazz. That's true. Once it gets like 10 below, it stops raining.
I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial analyst, but I think that the supply demand economics is pretty coded when it comes to Bitcoin. And as long as there is some reason to use it or some reason to try to use it to shield from inflation, then there's going to be enough demand this cycle to take it to like 200K-ish. That's probably a realistic end game here. I thought there was like a little bit of momentum to try to get it to 100K specifically before Thanksgiving, so people had uncomfortable conversations at Thanksgiving about buying and selling and holding and all of that. But
there's
maybe not.
The private equity that's really starting to enter the market is going to make people who aren't super knowledgeable on how that all works probably a little surprised when there's heavy fluctuations one way or the other.
I don't really.
If you don't, well, that's the thing. If you don't want to learn all that, then just be very long. Don't worry.
Right.
It's kind of like a 401k where
unless you're moving big time money for whatever reason for sports betting purposes, and you need to kind of time your entry exit. I'm not really kind of dialed in. And that's usually the big money move is like beginning end of season type of stuff. So
I have a buddy
not anywhere close to really moving big time BTC.
I haven't asked him about it lately, but I have a buddy. He would check his 401k every day. He would log into his 401k every day. I could not convince him not. I mean, this guy when I learned that he did this, he was probably 42. Like at least 20 years from retiring. Just every day he would check it. Like, buddy, you can't do that. You're going to drive yourself nuts. You're not pulling that money out anytime. You just kind of let it rip. Same
Yeah.
with this. Just let it rip. It all
Patrick
just
is right. Any conversation about Bitcoin will not be the least comfortable conversation, but good chance you'll be the least liked person if you're talking about Bitcoin because it is, for whatever reason, nobody really wants to listen, even if they're curious.
The people that I will be having Thanksgiving with, I don't think have ever brought up politics, like ever.
Yeah.
Like just that
Yeah.
side of the family just does not care. And I think we'll just be talking some football,
Yeah.
probably talk some deer hunting. I think a couple do some deer hunting.
Yeah.
We got some,
Nitrogen wiped me out pretty hard a couple years ago too. I had a bad football season, regular season.
we're in overtime, guys.
Crushed there. The Donnie Pickleball says, "Is there a Bitcoin ETF I can buy in my IRA?" Technically, if you're trying to do it that way, it's not your keys, not your coin. You could be a little bit at, kind of over the barrel. So I think using something like Strike and just whatever spare cash you got whenever you got it is probably, that's what I do. And I've never really tried hard to figure out if you can circumvent tax law by getting involved with BTC exposure via any other type of traditional investing. I think there's probably a more realistic, a reasonable secondary play, like buying Coinbase or something, right? Like as a stock kind of angle, if that's what you think, if that's what you're trying to do.
But again, it's not your coin at that point.
Well, it's not your coin. It's not your Coinbase. It's you're kind of at the whim of them growing the way that but they have such a first mover advantage as far as.
Brad says Lou.
What's Lou? Is that a competitor to
I think he might have
MicroStrategy? Yeah. MicroStrategy. Yeah.
Nice first
but
down.
that
Nice first down.
MicroStrategy is more though if you just want like the raw.
No, he's changed it to to LOL.
LOL, yeah. MicroStrategy if you just want raw exposure to the price of Bitcoin, I guess. But the Coinbase is more like you want to be the profiting off of the person, the old analogy of you want to be the guy selling the gold miners shovels, not the guy out there mining for gold. And to the degree that Coinbase is, I have a lot of problems with the model. They are selling a lot of shovels to retail.
Have you seen the Ballad of Buster Scruggs though?
I haven't. No.
It looks like gold mining kind of looks fun. It's just like a little mystery figuring it out. It's like a series of vignettes. Like I think it's 6 different stories. Just a Netflix movie. It was one of those Saturday afternoon things I watched. Not a bad flick. There's a bunch of very known names in it. It's a fun one. I think it might even be like a Coen Brothers thing. So Brad said LOL, and it made me think of my sister-in-law that I'll be seeing for the holidays here. Have I ever told you that story where she didn't like when internet memery and acronyms really started to take over? She didn't know what it meant. It's like early days of Facebook.
Of course,
and
yeah.
She really, really was sure that it meant lots of love.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And so she, someone on her, I think it was either a Facebook post or a text where their dog had passed.
Oh,
and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. LOL.
Oh no,
fucking brutal.
That was an amazing conversion by Lamar. I mean, this guy is on.
He's very good. The receivers are doing really good.
That was an incredible. That was best play of the game so far by Lamar. That was amazing. This guy is unreal.
Well, I feel like in the past few weeks, in the games they're winning. Well, even in the games they're winning, Drew, some of these receivers are letting him down a little.
Oh yeah, no question. See, this is like the funny thing about Baltimore is like you look at their schedule, they could lose this game, they could lose a couple more games. Like they're in Bills territory from last year, where they're going to have to like sustain winning down the stretch to get into the playoffs, and that is in the face of the fact that Lamar Jackson is playing his, at an elevated level relative to him winning the MVP last year.
It should have been a pick. Yeah, that was. I just gave the receivers credit, and he kind of quit on that.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
Letting
Was that
the
Bateman? I
safety
wasn't really
get that.
watching. It looked like Bateman.
What do you think the MVP market looks like tomorrow, Drew?
I think.
I can't ask you. You're
I
like,
mean, there was really no.
Mahomes will be minus 200,
No, the big move was Barkley
which
because he
is
had 300 yards of
ridiculous.
offense
Yeah.
and is now on pace to break the all-time record. I mean, he's correct. He is the candidate for Philly. I think
He will get votes, and it'll split up the votes a little, I think.
Sure.
Because there'll be a bunch of people that just like, I'm not voting for a running back.
That's
And
I don't.
Right. You're gonna have like it's gonna look like the coach of the year ballot, where it's split between like 3 or 4 guys. I think it is really going to be hard to guess. It's not. I mean, how many years do we get to the end of the year and we just know like 5 of the 7 awards? We know 100% who's winning them. You know, I don't think MVP is going to be in that bucket unless somebody goes off on a real tear.
What are we doing here?
Saquon's funny too because he's good, but he's just in the perfect situation. And they've done this 3 years in a row with running backs now. They're going to trade him for something good, trade him for something good. They're going to pawn him off on another team, just like they've done with Swift and who's the one before that?
Tucker for a 45-yard attempt. Andy, does he have this?
I really doubt it.
He does. He took a little intensity off of that.
Field goals don't help us. We still need 2 scores now.
No.
Bullshit, Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love the call. Yeah.
I did call Saquon Barry Sanders. I think that was the take from the beginning of the year. Like, I was correct, and I'm like mad that people are running with this. Like, the take was Saquon is a good running back, and he's about to be in the best situation any running back can ever be in. We've seen it 2 years in a row with Sanders. See, it's Sanders and Swift, where it's like, hey, let's just plug in a running back who's above average, good, and make him look like God in this system. And then, they get the Bears to take one. They get I think the Lions take, where did Sanders end up at? That's the guy, right? I think he's hurt right now. Maybe Carolina. But it was like Saquon was always going to be good. I didn't expect him to be this good. This is nuts. Like, having all these 70-yard runs. He absolutely deserves Offensive Player of the Year. It's tough break for Henry, but
yeah,
what he's doing with all the touchdowns as well. And it's not just getting the short yardage stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 1,300 yards of rushing offense so far, which is insane. The Eagles have already had their bar too, right? So doesn't even have a game in hand. He is just flat out eating. I guess he had a game in hand because Henry is playing he's getting Henry is putting an additional game of effort into his numbers now, right, tonight. And he's still not going to catch him. Anyway,
getting to 2,000 yards will get him some MVP votes. I really don't think a running back can win it, though.
Yeah, and I mean, there was no real drifting on Josh Allen because he didn't play. I think there ought to have been, considering what happened otherwise. Joe Burrow didn't play. He's not a real candidate, in my opinion, but he could cock block some of the other quarterbacks by having the best numbers.
It's hard to vote for a guy with the record like that. And I know they should have a way better record.
But I'm saying that it's gonna be tough. If you're not a 16-win type of quarterback, it's gonna be tough to get the votes away from a guy like Burrow if he continues on this pace numbers wise.
Well, and here's the other thing, Drew, and we saw this with Coach of the Year last year. Because of the ranked choice voting, I think people can say somebody like, what if Burrow has 50 touchdowns and 5 wins? You cannot vote him to be the NFL MVP at that point.
Right.
But it's not as hard to put him number 2, where it's like, all right, here's my MVP. It's Allen, it's Mahomes, it's Lamar, it's whoever. And he's like, man, this guy can't get MVP because his team wasn't good enough on the win-loss record. They're not in the playoffs, all that jazz. But Christ, what a season he had with his arm. Like, I could put him second. I'm comfortable with that. I'm just thinking, like, psychologically how I feel about that if I'm the voter. It feels like some of these guys, like the Burrows, maybe even Herbert, if he continues to have a good season, they're going to get those second and third place votes, and it's going to get weird.
Yeah, but I there's also, like, other than Mahomes, the case for the Mahomes is straightforward. like there's a very real world where they just win every rest of the every other game on the schedule, and he has 16 wins. And at that point, like if there's been a carousel of other teams losing to difficult competition and or kind of having some off days and losing to some teams they shouldn't lose to, which always happens, like that's going to ding their candidacy, and Mahomes might just be the guy that is last man standing based on 16 wins. It's only ever happened once, Andy. And the guy who did was the MVP. Now, granted, he didn't lose, and he set the all-time record for touchdown passes.
Yeah. I feel like the coverage, I know they've had trouble with intermediate to deep coverage, but they're throwing to the running back like every third play.
I don't like that play.
You got it. Well, I mean, but they're getting like 5, 6, 7 yards every play. I'm saying defensively, you got to have a linebacker covering that zone, or at least trailing that guy.
I mean, you know who? I mean, this is the Greg Roman revenge game as well, Andy. Dobbins, Edwards, Roman, they're all getting their chance to get a little revenge here. 3rd and 5, not 2nd and 3. ESPN fix your graphics. This is terrible. That was pretty wide open. Well, I like that. NFL Awards most controversial topic, Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know that enough is going to happen between now and then to really make it that controversial. Like some people are going to lean Lamar and they're going to be correct. Some people are going to lean Josh Allen. They're going to be wrong.
Is there anybody in the Thanksgiving Day games that's up for an award?
I mean, Goff maybe.
No,
it's probably he's your fifth runner.
His stats are so good too, and he has all these wins, getting no recognition.
None.
You know what? If he gets a couple picks, and this is the one thing I will cheer for. I forgot I was going to bring this up when we were talking about.
Campbell, Coach of the Year. Yeah, thank you guys.
Excuse me. Yeah, Campbell. I apologize to him and his kneecaps. The discourse around Saquon Barkley / the Giants yesterday, which is dumb to begin with. It's not like he was going to look like that in New York if they'd only kept him. I'm sure that would have just opened up a 2,000-yard season in the Meadowlands.
Yeah,
traditionally a great turf for running backs to run.
Love this point by Kidoki. That is a great argument to have. 9-7 freaking Dable won Coach of the Year.
I know, but his expectations were low. I hated it. I thought it was wrong.
And he clinched it by just absolutely skull fucking the Colts and Sam Ellinger. And
it was not good.
And Jeff Saturday, I think at the time.
University of Texas.
Man.
Sam Ellinger. I voted on Sam Ellinger. I bet Sam Ellinger to be the top pick in the draft, like in the fall of one year.
That was
anyway, Drew, back to the Saquon thing. All right, so the Saquon thing, it is funny that Giants fans are so butthurt about this because they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But at this point now, I'm cheering for like Xavier McKinney, 3 interception games, get himself like all of a sudden we're 3 weeks down the road, he has 12 interceptions, 2 returns for touchdowns. We're like, oh my God, is this can you imagine having just letting the OPOI and DPOI go in the same offseason? Like the shame that would come with that. You could never hire Shane again.
That'd be incredible.
He should go, by the way. The secondary sucks absolutely.
I know.
Ass.
Dude, I don't really like Herbert's ball right now. It looks like it's coming out slow. What's going on with his motion?
I don't know. Hasn't he always had
He doesn't really look
He's had a
fluid.
Sweeper.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. That came up pretty quick.
That one came out quick. Yeah, that was a much crisper pass. And just in general, the Ravens do not seem to be able to figure out a way to get home. That guy was free running.
Third down is pretty rough for them.
Beautifully.
I like this too. A final F off to Snyder. If Dan Quinn does win Coach of the Year,
love that.
That feels very bad for Dan Snyder at home.
I love that. Commanders need some wins.
Actual good question from Corey Herbert, who I don't have answers for this.
Oh, shit.
Are you
I can't
traveling
do
Wednesday?
Yeah, I can't do Wednesday.
Bring this up now.
I know. I totally forgot. I totally spaced.
Like morning, even? When do you leave?
I can do Wednesday morning. Yeah. You want to do Wednesday
Yes,
morning?
Wednesday morning.
Perfect. Yeah, I got no
Breakfast with the
Yeah.
deep dive.
No problem Wednesday morning. Yeah. You pick your time before noon Pacific and I'm good to go. But I'm
Oh, I
getting on
love
a
that.
boat
Love that.
over to Catalina.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker. Don't you ever forget.
Yes, I'm getting on a boat at 2 p.m. and I will not be in a state of sobriety to do a standard 2-hour deep dive when I get there.
Okay.
Because
I'll tweet it out.
They will officially be on.
If you don't follow
Yeah.
at Deep Dive Pod on the Twitter or on Blue Sky, and I will tweet it out or skeet it out, as they say over on the sky. Apparently that's accurate.
Is it?
They say
Ooh.
you skeet.
You're skeeting over there, huh? Okay.
So, and obviously, if you aren't able to join us in the morning, it's still, I will just release it as a podcast instantly.
Yes.
Instead of waiting for Thursday morning, because I know a lot of you guys have shit going on Thursday, so you can get to it right away. Once we know a time, we will definitely let you know on that. I don't know about the halftime shows. It always comes down to like, how does it line up with, what we're doing? Sometimes it's like, oh, it's halftime. I'm sitting down with my family eating right now. I can't do it.
Brian is right. Catalina is boring unless you know the secrets. And I'm going to be doing a lot of very fun things. So I'm excited to go. And it's got Amalfi kind of vibes, it's a very European experience just off the coast of California.
Off the Florida Keys.
The Dicker the kicker he is not suffering from what all of the other kickers are suffering from. He is very confidently knocking them through. Mostly I'm for Holt's question. I'm mostly excited to be doing some free diving. There's some really cool marine park there off of the casino, which is not a gambling casino, but it is an entertainment venue. I love diving there. There's so much cool stuff. And
I was a little worried. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was worried we were going to have to do it Tuesday night because I already got Gladiator tickets, baby.
Oh,
IMAX. So my wife would have been mad at me. We even sat and watched the OG one.
We would have figured something out.
We'll sort what. So what is your deal Thursday? Are you in?
I'm just gonna be eating and drinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at. I'm gonna be at my dad's. I'm gonna be at my dad's farm. We'll try to do what we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
The night one for sure.
The early one always is weirdly complicated because like my day is just kind of getting started and there's stuff to do. But I will soft commit to the Giants Cowboys and I will hard commit to
night one's happening.
The night one, no question. If I can do the Lions, even if it's
my dad's farm has better internet than the Mahler household, so we'll be on like 5G, motherfuckers. Don't worry about that. Morning game may not happen. Afternoon game will. The night game absolutely will. Friday, I'm not so sure where I'll be. I will be driving to fucking Denver. It might be live from a rest stop while I'm watching it. What time is that game? I have no idea. Is it the middle of the day or is it a night game?
I want to say it's like an afternoon kick.
Black Friday game. It is 2 Eastern.
Yeah.
So halftime would be, 3 Eastern.
5:20. No, it's 5:20 p.m. my time. No, I'm sorry. It's 12 p.m. my time. It is 2 p.m. your time.
Yep. So here's the other thing. At a certain point during that day, I will be crossing into the Mountain Time Zone.
Oh, so it's
now my brain is in a goddamn pretzel.
Time. It'll be 1 p.m. your time. How long is the drive?
From Brookings, like 9 hours if I'm driving. You don't understand the Midwest mind. That's always like, we'll just drive it. Plus, we have dogs. I can't fly with a Great Pyrenees. He's 120 pounds. Like, I think if we weren't bringing the dogs with, we might have looked at a flight because I wouldn't even have to go to Minneapolis. There are direct flights from Rochester to Denver.
Sure.
But Yeah, it's such an
You
easy drive.
you're
My
gonna
wife likes
dodge
to
any
drive.
kind of bad weather, yeah? You're not
The,
gonna
the
get
weather the weather should be fine. So yeah, I
dude,
think
it's a 13-hour drive, man. What?
from where?
Oh, from Brookings. So you saw. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's not even Brookings. It's further. It's kind of out in the country there, near
Okay.
Brookings. Yeah, from Rochester, it's a ways. But like I said, we're heading 2 hours west to my dad's house, and then
Got
we
it.
head 2 hours more west to Brookings, and then you're halfway there anyway.
Got it. Wow, man, you are doing some driving. You go get them, buddy.
I love a road trip.
It's a weird. The fastest.
That's what I pay for
There's
Spotify.
kind of there's no direct route through Nebraska. You got to kind of
No,
go
you got to go. You got to cut
well
it at
out
an
of your
angle.
way. Yeah, that's kind of lousy. You got to
It's
zigzag through Yankton Reservation.
Yeah, there's a few spots there where you're in the boonies. Like if you travel through that part of the country or Wyoming, Montana, that's the hey, I'm near a gas station. I should get gas because I'm I'm under a half tank here, and I
You're
haven't seen
going by
a
some
ton.
pretty enormous reservoirs on the Missouri River.
The Angus. I don't think we'll go to Angostura. I, so one time I stopped at a place and we just needed a break. We were driving back from Denver, and we needed a break. And I'm like, here's like a recreation area. It was called Lake McConaughey, and you get
Okay.
there, it was huge, and there was a beach, and the kids had. Like we stayed in a hotel or something where they had swimming gear with, so they went and got swimming gear and like jumped in this lake. We just
Yeah.
chilled at this lake for a while. And my wife is this is why I love my wife and probably why I married her. 'Cause she'll
Awful
laugh
run
at,
by Lamar Jackson there, by the
she'll
way.
laugh. Yeah,
I don't
she'll
know.
laugh at anything I say.
He just needed to go. I don't know why he decided to cut back. Sorry, go ahead.
Ugh.
Awful
But
run.
I had it up on my Google Maps still when we left, and she just couldn't stop talking about how nice that place was.
Derrick Henry. Gone. Nice little stiff arm there, too. Sorry, go ahead, man.
But I told her, I said, well, because I still had it up on Google and she wouldn't shut up about how fun it was. I said, we should write a review for it. And she's like, well, what would you write? I said, well, it was all right. And she obviously, again, she'll laugh at anything I say and just, oh God, I'm a little behind. Maybe I need to so I'm on Stream East. Mondays, if it's not on ESPN Plus, I can't get it.
We got ourselves a classic Tractor Cito moment on tape now. That was awesome.
He has 99 yards. I bet he gets to 100 in this game.
Oh, dude. You know what I really, really did not need this week? An emphasis on offensive holding. Like the uptick.
I can't believe you actually stomached watching the Colts game.
Obvious.
Gross.
Oh God, the Colts calls. And you know how I was pissed at Sean Hockley yesterday? Every ticky-tack one, he threw the fucking flag. I'd like to know how. Did you know that his real job is financial analyst or financial advisor? Kind of curious what his tips were.
What his tips
recently? Yeah.
I couldn't watch the Colts game back. I just didn't do it.
I the 10-1 penalty count. And the other thing that really pissed me off about that game, Andy, and this is conspiracy minded, I believe me. Like, I don't think there are fixed outcomes, and I don't think the refs are crooked. They suck, but they're not crooked, right? Probably. But the Colts ones were huge because it was like a 10-yard penalty that was actually like a 40-yard penalty.
Yeah.
Because it negated a 30-yard positive and it sent him back 10, right? And then the box score doesn't look gross. It's like, yeah, I mean, 9 penalties for 75 yards for these guys, 5 penalties for 45 yards for these guys. Well, 30 of the penalty yards for the Lions were a 15-yard, stupid after a touchdown was scored penalty that didn't have
those ones that it's like, now they can really kick it through the end zone.
Yeah. Like, wow, cool. Did not matter at all. And then a 15-yard penalty that was long after the game had pretty much been decided. And so 32 penalties for 30 yards that are on the Lions docket had no consequence on the game, and then the penalties against the Colts were just monstrously consequential. I had to rewatch it just to make sure I wasn't being influenced by the outcome.
Am I the dick?
Am I the dick? Yeah. Am I the one who's out of touch?
So
and don't get me wrong. Like there were a couple penalties that were deserved. Like something like the OPI on Pierce was pretty obvious, but it didn't. Also, it didn't obviously like it looked like he also could have been going up to like make a play as if he was getting a pass. It didn't. So I don't know, but I don't know. I was annoyed. I found it all to be quite distasteful.
You got to go for this too, I think. Maybe they won't. Maybe those kick again.
Colts receivers were terrible. The drop touchdown fucking sucked.
All three of them got hurt at some point too. So the best take I've ever heard on refereeing has been
with the worthy spatial awareness. Yeah.
The what do you call it? I almost said HD.
Wow, the third quarter's already over.
HDTV, Drew.
Yeah.
Because it's like people like refs are so much worse now. No, you just have a really good TV and you have 100 camera angles of everything. Like all of these ones where it's like any play that's ever gone to get challenged. If you watch that play in 1989, you can't even see you can't see the ball. You can't see their shoes. There's no slow-moing it barely. The slow-mo back then was embarrassingly bad. Like you didn't have ground to stand on to bitch about some of these calls because you couldn't see how close it was anyway. That wasn't the spider cam and the pylon cam and the jock strap cam on the ref.
Jock strap cam.
They need that. That would be actually pretty. But like, just it's silly how we get to sit here and micromanage these refs and how bad they are. Where it's like you should get out on a football field and have that happen in real time. Like it's still a hard job. The ones that drive me nuts are just the some of these procedural penalties because that's on the teams. It's crazy how like these are the rules. You can't cover up the tackle. You have to get set before you start the play. Like the ones like that are just so maddening because these are the people at the highest level. Those are rules in high school. Those are rules in Pop Warner. You can't do that. That stuff drives me up a wall. Yeah. I don't like jumping early or whatever, reacting. That's a bad mistake, but it's not the same as the procedural stuff.
Yeah. What are we thinking here? 4th and 1? Ravens go for it?
I would.
I hope.
That's also because I have team total.
I don't think the second half over is going to get there unless there's a significant change.
Oh, have we had like a 40-point fourth quarter?
I can't think of any.
So that was my hot take, Drew, from
both the Chargers last game and the game yesterday between the Cowboys and the Redskins were unbelievable.
I think the Browns game going over the total was less likely than the Cowboys game.
Okay.
And the Cowboys game just seems like a wilder result because of the big touchdowns. But 2 of those really long, big touchdowns happened after the total was over already.
Yeah, true.
And if that ball doesn't get returned, that Cowboys return to get up 27-17, there's a decent chance they hold them there. There's a decent chance you go to overtime 20-20. And then there's multiple ways that you can get to 45 at that point.
You're absolutely right. Meanwhile, the Browns, if the Browns fail on 4th and goal, the Browns fail on 4th and goal when Winston jumps into the end zone, then that game doesn't even sniff 35.
No.
Yeah.
That game was like 6-3 going into the 4th or something.
No, it wasn't that low.
I don't know. It was bad. So I think there were 16 points through 3 quarters in that one.
That sounds about right. But the touchdown, the Browns touchdown with Winston running it in really kind of set in motion that game going over, and it had
that game got way wild. Plus, it was
everything had to break exactly right to get it there. The refs had to call illegal touching instead of what was, I think, a pretty obvious intentional grounding.
So that's a question for you. If you're a coach,
are
you coaching your quarterbacks to do that? Try to hit a
yeah.
lineman.
Hit a lineman. Hit him in the hands. Yeah.
Hit him.
I mean, for the most part, the linemen are turned around, and if you throw it at him, he just bounces off their back, and so it doesn't count as illegal touching, right?
Oh man.
Are
they get him in the
7 here?
backfield once or twice.
It was 7 here.
We're getting to the point of the game where they're sick and fucking tired of tackling Derrick Henry.
I would hope so.
18 carries on his next one. Does he have a catch? No catches.
He's
Spreading
got
it all over the place.
I mean, shit, man. The fact that the 2 nights in a row, the outcomes being swung by a free agent signing in the running back market is amazing. You know,
it's great. Every rule that does make sense and is right has exceptions. That's how it works. Nothing is black and white. You still shouldn't pay old running backs unless you think you can get something out of them and you're in a great situation. And like we said with the Eagles, it's such a perfect situation for him. Obviously, Derrick Henry with this the way they run this offense.
Hey, I agree. So for the love of God, someone make Jameis a starter next year. Did you see the NFL flexed him out of primetime?
I mean, Cincinnati's not good right now either record-wise.
No, who cares? I would rather watch that than almost every other game that week.
I know it's going to be like Chargers Broncos, right?
Is that what they're going to put in? I didn't even see what they flexed in.
I believe it was Chargers Broncos, which kind of stinks for them. Like if you're a team that's going for,
they're saying
you don't
no.
Want Thursday.
How are they saying no? What?
They're allowed to say no, but we can always look at it again.
What? I'm confused as shit as to how that's not a touchdown.
I think it is.
That the guy was standing right over him. What?
Okay, maybe Drew, they're allowed to look at it again.
Oh, okay. They're gonna call it a touchdown. All right. We have ourselves a corrected on the field.
So what do you call that referee that stands, he's safety deep normally, but he's at the back of the end zone in the middle? Is that the back judge?
It is.
That guy gets the cool when there is a touchdown. That guy gets the coolest calls because he always does this and he's like looking down and he's always just standing right next to an electric tight end that just caught a cool ball. They don't have HD TV eyes.
Oh, right. We're going for two. We're going for two. This is big time for us.
Yeah, because
no good.
Suddenly a field goal changes things. I'm like 0 for a million on 2-point conversions, for and against me this year.
I would have liked that one. That one would have been nice. Shit. Huh. Well,
I mean, why do you hate analytics, Brian? Like, you have a 50% chance of
making it. You have a 50%
chance of making it a 2-score game. I think you'd always take this one. Troy does say the analytics.
Yeah.
Like, also, the extra point is never guaranteed.
Especially with Tucker out there. Yeah, Tucker barely is. He's squirrely as they come right now.
Yeah. The difference in win probability from an 8 to a 9-point lead is massive, though.
Yeah.
It's very much worth the coin toss on the 2
An 8-point lead is not as it's treated as easier to get than it is. But that said, the 9 is for sure 2 drives.
Well, and not only that, when you're up 9, you force a team to be less aggressive on an earlier drive. Correct. Because they say, I need the field goal as well.
Yes, that's right. You
can actually take away their incentive. I'm going for all these 4th downs.
Yeah, you turn the game into them needing an onside kick recovery, which again has never happened against the Ravens.
Yeah, but you can't be results based.
I'm joking. It's definitely happened against the Ravens.
Oh, for sure.
Recently,
Ravens do bottle games away. So, all right. Well, we'll be cheering for one more Ravens touchdown.
Okay.
2 field goals, a safety and a field goal, a safety and a 2-point conversion return.
Yeah. Brian's also forgetting that these guys are brothers and there's no love lost. They want to beat each other badly.
Brian's like 50 years old too.
Yeah.
He harkens back to a pure.
I'm ending this thing. I'm going to go grab some dinner. French onion soup.